Hi, I'm Professor Beck Strah.
And I'm producer Brit, and you're listening to Prison Breakdown.
2, 3, break!
Hate to spoil his fun, but we're gonna bust out of here.
2, 3, break!
You're locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
2, 3, break!
I can honestly say I'm a changed man. No danger to society here. God's honest truth.
2, 3, break!
I'm not leaving this cell. I'll get out my way. The right way.
2, 3, break! Ahoy, dudes. Welcome back to another episode of Prison Breakdown. I am your co-host, prison extraordinaire, Professor Beck Strah. I'm joined by producer extraordinaire.
Hello, I'm producer Brit. Welcome to the podcast.
Greetings and salutations, producer Brit. Now, for those listening, I just got back to town. I was out on a little visit to producer Brit last week in the lovely hills of Seattle.
Yeah, it was great to see you, however briefly. But why don't we talk about what you were here for?
Indeed. I was visiting for the Western Society of Criminology conference. It's one of my favorite conferences of all. I like a little conference like that where I get to meet a few people, get to see some of my favorite people in the field and talk about one of my favorite things, criminology.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I got to see some good presentations on policing and police stress that were interesting. And apparently there's a technology I learned about that is like fingerprints for bullets, which is interesting.
Police stress in which way? Like police officers getting stressed out or like police officers stressing people out? Because I feel like one of them's a big problem and one of them's negligible.
The former. It was an interesting study that they're doing at a Washington State University where they are putting like these chest straps around police and then using heart rate to measure stressful events. Mm-hmm. And then combining when they find the spikes in heart rate with body cam footage. And they're finding that most of the stressful events are actually in the police station. They're more stressed out talking to their administrators than they are on police encounters.
Interesting. Are you saying that they didn't think their life was in danger as they so often say?
That seems to be the rub. So anyway, it was an interesting study. It needs a little addition is what some other people in the crowd were suggesting and combining some self-report, because just because someone's heart rate goes up, that can't be the only indicator we use for stress, because your heart rate can go up for many reasons, right?
Right.
But it was an interesting study. Thanks to the other panelists I saw, and thanks to everyone who made the time to get up and out and come see me and engage me for some networking and conversation. I love my people over there at Seattle University. Shout out to Seattle U. And including Doctors Jackie Helfgott and Elaine Gunnison. And if you get a chance, check out the conference if you're into criminology. And also, Seattle. It's gorgeous, lovely. It's a little snowy for my taste, like it is back here in lovely Rhode Island. Got to see some old friends. The night before I came back, I was out with some friends, totally lost track of time. Look up, oh no, it's 3 a.m. I have a plane to catch in about 7 hours. Did not sleep that much. Got pretty sick on the plane. So I'm a little under the weather, but you know what? I'm here. We're doing it.
All right. Well, it's welcome back. Well, I guess not welcome back. You went to another place. You went home. Welcome back home. Welcome home. That's what I was looking
Welcome
for.
back to a place away from you.
Yes. There you go. There. That works for me. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Sounds cool. I don't get to go to any conferences really. Well, I take that back. I get to go to like union stuff.
That's a conference.
That's definitely a conference. Yeah, you meet people with similar interests and you talk about things of similar interest and the newest and hottest in the field.
Yeah, and I think union people who are really invested in unions, all the ones that I've ever met are super like they can be like rabid about it in terms of defending people
Hmm.
in their union.
Hmm.
And that's cool. Like you know that other people you're meeting are going to be passionate about this material.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're comrades too. Like there's definitely, at least with like the really active stewards that I've met, like definitely a leftward political bent that I don't dislike at all.
Do you ever meet super conservative union stewards? Is that a thing?
So the other steward at my shop is like a Trump guy. He's the weird thing is he's a good union steward. Like he's good. He's like he pays attention. I don't know though. It's super weird. He just can't seem to reconcile like his personal beliefs, and he's like very Christian too, but he can't seem to like reconcile like his personal beliefs with like his work ethics and stuff. I don't know. It's super strange.
Does he think he's in a police union, perhaps?
Maybe he does.
That would make sense.
Sure.
Now, I want you to hit me with, give me some news I can use. Give me the blues.
That'd be cool. But first, I think we need to talk about our sponsor for this podcast. You know who that is?
Oh, hell yeah.
That's the Roger Williams.
That is going to be the Roger Williams School of Justice Studies.
Yes, at Roger Williams University. They have such fine offerings as graduate certificates and graduate programs in public administration, cloud computing, legal studies, criminal justice, forensic science, cybersecurity and networking, digital forensics, cyber specialism, public management, and, of course, my favorite, leadership.
I saw you with your hand on that button, and I'm waiting for it. I know leadership is going to hit me.
Oh, yeah. You got to go hard with that leadership, baby.
Yeah, the listener loves it. That's their favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have a diverse array of programs at the Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies for all your justice needs. And I'm one of the professors there. Our boy Bronson, also a professor there. So look us up. Shoot us an email. Come on by. We'll have a chat. Hey, we'll enjoy a burrito together.
Oh, I love that. Bring burritos.
Extra guac.
Yeah, BYOB.
The B stands for burrito.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Twice. Burrito, your own burrito.
Yeah. Burrito, your own burrito. Yeah, so I think with that, it's time to get into some news. Hot off the razor wire.
Fresh news, hot off the razor wire.
Here's a fun little story I found. This one comes from the Columbus Dispatch from a reporter named Bethany Bruner.
Oh, wait. Where is Columbus?
That's a good question.
Thank you. Please continue.
The headline here is J.D. Vance's Hillbilly Elegy among books used in Ohio prison drug smuggling scheme. So, a Maumee man faces criminal charges that accuse him of spraying pages of books with drugs and smuggling them into a Northeast Ohio prison, including Vice President J.D. Vance's Hillbilly Elegy, according to federal court records. Austin Stibert is charged in U.S. District Court in Cleveland in connection with the scheme, which federal officials said involved trying to recruit people at multiple prisons to receive packages containing drugs. Stibert used something called the Amazon technique to get drug-soaked books into the Grafton Correctional Institution in Lorain County, court records say. The technique involves ordering books from a store like Amazon or Barnes & Noble online, printing a receipt to make a book appear purchased from a legitimate retailer, and then canceling the order. The person outside the prison ships a separate physical copy of the book using the falsified shipping label to the prison soaked with drugs, in many instances synthetic marijuana, according to the court reports. The process lends the appearance that the book came directly from a legitimate online retailer. In November, court records say Seibert received a phone call from a Grafton inmate. Seibert used his real name on the calls and when registering for a messaging system with inmates. In the call, Seibert told the inmate he drove 45 minutes to mail a package, which court records say was done to avoid being caught on video at a post office near his home.
Smart. Very smart.
Yeah. Also, heads up, maybe those cameras don't work. On December 3rd, Seibert contacted the inmate to let him know that the package had been delivered. In a phone call that was recorded that afternoon, court records say Seibert specifically referenced Vance's hillbilly elegy as having been sprayed with drugs. Seibert called the book a memoir that depicts Vance's mother's struggles with opioid addiction, a effing romance novel in the call. Prison, I don't know if you read it. Prison officials intercepted the package containing a copy of Vance's book and a GRE study guide. The books were taken...
Good materials to spray, though.
Yeah, right. The books were taken to a lab for analysis, court records say, and the last 10 pages of Vance's book tested positive for 2 separate synthetic cannabinoids. Seibert is currently being held in detention.
A few things. First off, you said a mommy man?
So a man from Maumee, yeah.
Mommy? Is that a town?
Maumee, Maumee, yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
It's in
Ohio.
Second, it's a brilliant scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Being that having worked in jail and we would get books in there, you can't receive books unless they are from a specified retailer like Amazon or like Barnes and Noble.
Sure.
So doing that, getting the receipt, making it have the appearance of coming from somewhere legitimate and spraying it down. I wonder if the GRE was a step too far, because that is a grad school exam. And I don't know how many people in Ohio prisons are taking the exams to go to like a PhD program, but they should have done something else in terms of book to legitimize it. I think Hillbilly Elegy, great choice.
Yeah.
It's junk, spray it down.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best thing you can do with that book is spray it with drugs and send it to a prisoner.
Spray it, don't say it.
Yeah, that's the official stance of this podcast is spray that book with drugs and send it to no, that's not. That's my I do not represent the views of this podcast. I just produce it. I'm sorry.
Quite all right.
Yeah, so that's a pretty fun, wild little scheme there.
Absolutely. Do we know how much time he's looking at?
No, it didn't say. But yeah, probably quite a bit. They don't like it when you send contraband to prisons, especially when it's drugs.
Can we agree we both enjoy a small time scheme like that?
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Fun to hear about.
Yeah, no, it's a fun little caper. Yeah, we like that.
Doesn't sound like anyone got hurt.
No, I mean, unless they got wild on that synthetic marijuana.
That shit is wild. Watching people on it, it can mimic mental illness. It is weird to have seen people on it, and then the next day they are fine. It's like nothing ever happened.
That's wild, yeah. Yeah, but that's news from the Razor Wire.
Thank you, Uncle Razor. Let's move on to the main event.
It's time for the main event. Main event. It's time for the main event. Main event. It's time for the main event. Main event. It's time for the main event. Main event.
Main event.
Main event.
I like that one. That's good stuff. Today, we are talking about Prison Break, episode 2, titled Alan. And you start watching it and you're like, why is this thing called Alan? And there's some twists that I don't know if they're smart, but I kind of enjoy them, and we'll get to them.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get to talking about the episode, I want to talk about a little something I saw on the recap, where the judge is talking to our boy, our hero, our protagonist, Michael Schofield.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge says, I find it incumbent that you see the inside of a prison cell, Mr. Schofield. Nobody has ever talked like that.
Yeah.
I find it incumbent. Shut up.
Yeah, that's silly. That guy, he just learned that word on his word of the day calendar, and he's trying to use it so he remembers it.
Yeah, exactly. That is a script that take it to a second draft, you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just because he's a judge doesn't mean he doesn't talk like a regular person. Come on.
Exactly. Judges are people too. Some of them.
Some of them, not all of them.
Now, our episode starts out with our boy, Michael Schofield, hanging out in the yard talking to this old man holding a cat. Shout out to cat programs. And the old man recognizes there's going to be this race war between white and black inmates in the prison. And Michael asks why. And he gets the answer, the same reason you don't put cats and dogs in the same cage. They don't get along.
Which isn't a very good answer. I don't like that answer at all. That's pretty like racist. Like because white people and black people are like two different animals. Like, well,
yes, it's so stupid.
I don't know. It's I mean, you could be like, because systemic racial tensions, like, there's a lot of reasons, but like, it's not because they're like dogs and cats. Come on.
No, absolutely. This is stupid. White people and black people are not cats and dogs. And it reminds me of anytime a dumb politician uses a dumb animal analogy, like, well, the truffle pig can always pull up a truffle. Like that kind of, it's too folksy. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It has no bearing in real life either. Like, stop using your animal analogy for people. They're animals.
Please.
They're animals.
Immediately. Now, this episode, it's more realistic to prison than episode 1. It's more dramatic, but it is at least more realistic in some respects. So after this, we see the prison officers initiating a shakedown where they speed into the unit. They've shut off the toilet so people can't flush anything. That was a good detail on your part, prison break writers.
Yeah, for sure.
And we see people scrambling. What did you note on the unit at this time?
There was a lot of papers being tossed down, like, to the floor. Like, I don't know if you noticed that. There was like a rain of papers. And I
saw a copy of Hillbilly Elegy coming out the
yeah. Rain of papers. So it's like, I think suggesting that people are just like tossing everything like straight through the bars. So it's not in their cell anymore.
Yeah. It was wild that paper was the main thing coming out because paper's the least likely to be contraband of anything you have in there, but sure. Okay, that's fine. So they initiate a shakedown and Sucre, Michael's cellmate, he has some kind of knife under the bed and a package under the mattress. And we see people throwing all this shit onto the tier. And I'd never actually seen this before, people throwing stuff out like this, because I've never worked in a facility where it's an open bars tier like this. We do see this in some places like the Rhode Island Department of Corrections Max facility. It is like this, but I've never worked in one of these facilities. But it is a good idea if people are rolling through for a shakedown. Also, this CO that we start seeing in this episode, Beck, he says Rughead and the Billies, and they refer to black inmates as Rughead a couple times, which I think that's a very racist thing to say, but I have never heard it before. Have you?
No.
And Billies, I assume hillbillies. Anyway, Michael is found with Sucre's shiv on him. Sucre gets sent to the SHU by Warden Stacy Keach. Yeah. When Michael's found with a knife, and this is crazy since there's no evidence. It's not Michael's. Michael's holding the knife.
Yeah, right. But like the Warden Pope, played by Stacy Keach, is like, you're a bad liar to Sucre. Because Sucre has a look on his face and like, you're in the SHU. So Sucre pretty much just gave up the goods with his face, which I can see that happening,
Yeah, but that wouldn't stand up to a hearing.
Yeah, you think, like, how many hearings do they have on, like, being sent to the SHU?
Oh, they do. Like that's a thing. You're supposed to get a hearing within like 48 hours of being sent to the shoe.
Oh, well, we can put him in there for 48 hours until then.
We'll get to that. He does get put in there for a minute. Now, our boy Michael, at the end of the last episode, he's trying to get some drugs to make him look like a diabetic. We are told that these are called Pugnacks.
Mm-hmm. You should have gotten some Pugnacks sprayed on a book and sent to him.
I asked Doctor of the podcast, Dr. Prusaloglu, if this was a thing, and she's never heard of Pugnacks before. So they may be real, they may not be. I'm not quite there, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, we get word that this race riot is a brewing, and Lincoln and Michael are arguing over whether or not it's going to happen. And Lincoln says, nothing transcends race in here. And that's going to be a theme throughout the rest of the episode, is the salience of race in prison environments. And it is a salient factor.
Yeah.
That we see in relationships. It was like in the last 10 years where the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, it was ruled that they could not lock down entire races based on like the actions of one person. So if like a black gang member gets in a fight, they could lock down all black inmates. That is crazy that lasted for so long.
That's like very base level racism. That's like is basic racist as you can get. Like let's treat all races like the one bad apple who happens to be their race. Like, come on.
There is a handful of cliche dialogue, like the nothing transcends race in here. You don't go looking for trouble here; it finds you. There's some pretty lame early 2000s hip hop played, and then we get to the main scheme of the episode, where Michael is outside. He's playing with the screws on the bleachers, and you're like, wait, what's he doing? It zooms in to give us a view of the screw. I love the zoom in views that the show does. It's silly and bad, and it looks bad because of the era it's from. And we see that Michael is looking at the plans for the bleachers. Now, the bleachers that are on the yard would obviously not be part of the establishment plans. That makes no sense.
No, like, yeah, we got to put the bleachers in the yard in the blueprint. Why? Because, like, you got to put a baseball diamond in there too. Like,
we got to build the bases and manufacture these, and we will put those in the plans. It doesn't make any sense. It would not be part of the establishment. It would be made in the shop by inmates, or it would be made by a contractor. It's not going to be a fixture,
right? Like
this. Also, Michael starts unscrewing the screw with a quarter. Where did he get the quarter? Inmates don't have change in prison.
He sprayed it on the page of a book and sent it to himself.
This is not your solution for everything.
It is now, baby.
Now we get introduced here to one of the most charismatic figures in the Prison Break universe.
Oh, T-Bag.
Theodore Bagwell.
I am a big fan of T-Bag. So T-Bag is a Southern gentleman who is very prison gay. Not sure how he is on the outside, but he is fully embraced the having a girlfriend who hangs on to his pocket type of gay, which is a queer myself. Cool move.
Yeah, he's more of like prison rapist, has a sex slave. It's that kind of. Prison gay. That's like the gay for power, not actually gay.
I haven't watched this whole series, but here it seems kind of innocent.
Innocent? How?
He just he has a prison girlfriend. There's no big deal. He
tries to get Michael to be his prison girlfriend, and so he can dominate him.
Right. But like Michael says no, and he like still pursues, but he doesn't like do anything non-consensual.
Yet, but not in this episode. He doesn't exactly do anything non-consensual. So, except for takes his bolt later, but. I will say Teabag is incredibly charismatic, but he's a scumbag in the show, and I believe a scumbag in real life. I can get into it more in a later episode, but I believe there were some allegations against him a while back. Now, Teabag offers him protection, and Michael turns him down. And Teabag says, "Don't come back here unless you want trouble," which means, oh no, Michael can't go back to the bleachers, but oh, the screw is sitting right there. He needs to get that screw.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens with Veronica? We run into Veronica again, Lincoln's attorney and
Right.
former girlfriend.
So she's it's just a brief scene where she talks to another lawyer inquiring about Lincoln, and there's like supposedly a videotape that the prosecution used. And yeah, so it's just a brief scene with her. And then we go to Lincoln again, and Lincoln has a flashback where he's like in bed with his girlfriend. And is his girlfriend the lawyer?
Yes.
Were they okay?
So Veronica, the lawyer, is also Veronica. His
yeah,
girlfriend.
I was like, is that the same woman, or do I just have like white girl blindness? I don't.
They look very alike, but it's because they're the same person.
That's probably why.
And he takes the world's first selfie of him and his girlfriend kissing in bed.
Right. He uses just like a fucking point and shoot camera for it. I'm like,
yeah, one of those like disposables. It's cool.
Yeah, pretty neat.
One interesting thing that it brings up here is Lincoln's attorney Veronica speaking to this man about Lincoln's case, and the man she's talking to mentions there's a 5-time felon who could have exonerated Lincoln for his crime, but he had no credibility because he's a 5-time felon. And then this is a problem in the system where because someone has felonies, they're not credible, but committing a crime shouldn't make you impeachable on the stand unless that person has something major to gain from it. Like if I'm offering someone early parole to testify on the stand, yeah, that makes sense. Don't necessarily give that person the incentive to appear on the stand.
Yeah, agreed.
Because that's coercion, and you can get people to say whatever you want when that happens.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe we should just trust somebody if they say, "Oh, I was there and this guy was doing it," if there's some evidence to back him up.
Right. So, yeah. Next, Michael's back in the yard, and he finally succeeds in unscrewing his bolt.
Yes.
But Teabag sees him and takes it from him and talks about the impending race war, and tries to get Michael to fight with him. And he's like, no. And he's like, what are you, some kind of milk chicken? And I was like, a what?
This is so folksy that it's like beyond folksy. It's into like negative folksiness. A milk chicken, black on the inside, white on the outside. Is that what
Milk
he likened
chicken?
it to?
I don't know. What is that? That doesn't make any sense. Chickens are brown. I don't what?
I've never heard the term milk chicken. I wonder sometimes if the show is making stuff up, like making up rughead as a slur, but
no,
milk chicken is a recipe I have found online. Jamie Oliver has a chicken and milk. But as far as milk chicken, that's not something people say.
No,
as far as I can tell.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think that's a real thing. I think they had like a racial epithet in there or something, and like the TV censors are like, you cannot say that. How about milk chicken? They're like, yeah, fuck it, let's go with that.
Indeed. And so Teabag takes the screw from Michael. What does he say? He says, "This here is for the family. Pretty clear you ain't blood. How about you hand that over?" Everything he says is just like, I can't stop watching him. Very watchable.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. He's got this like Southern charm to him, almost as if Mark Twain was a prison rapist.
That's about right. And this next part is my favorite scene. So we see this CO, Beck. He goes into Michael's cell and he shakes it down while Michael's on the yard. And he doesn't find anything, and then he gets to a notepad and he does that thing where he's shading over the notepad with a pencil to see the last thing somebody wrote down. Like, obviously I did this all the time when I was a CO, because I had no life, and I had to know what every inmate was up to at any point in their own personal business, because I'm cool and they suck, and I think it's my right to know. That is ridiculous. I remember as a CO one time, there was a corrections officer who was trying to determine if an inmate had stolen like an extra snack. And he said, "Come here, let me smell your breath." That's disgusting. I don't want to smell anybody's breath. And especially not this guy who I'm being paid to look after. I can be fine with, this guy got one over on me this time, and I'll keep an eye out for him in the future. I'm not smelling breath.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
No.
Anyway, he shades over this thing with a pencil, and he sees the name Alan Schweitzer.
Alan Schweitzer.
And we'll talk more about that later. Michael also asks the Russian man John for help. John turns him down and heads over to visitation. And how would you describe the two men that John meets with in visitation?
Mobsters.
They're the two most mob-coded guys I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, they're not like wearing matching black pinstripe suits with like fedoras or anything, with like Tommy guns and stuff. But they're pretty gangster coded.
Yes, I think one is wearing a pinstripe suit.
I think one
for
is,
the record. And I liked watching these guys shit all over John. They tell him he looks defeated, tell him he's got no sack, and John tells the guys they're going to get Fibonacci, this guy who's going to snitch on everyone and put people in prison. I also, at first, when they were talking about Fibonacci, I had totally forgotten the first episode, and I thought they were talking about the Fibonacci sequence guy. It's not that.
No, it's definitely not that. They're not talking about math. They're like, we got to figure out the math. The mob needs to figure out math.
we were missing this page from the math book. It got sprayed, apparently. Now, how would you describe the scenes of Sucre hanging out in the shoe?
There's like 2 or 3 scenes where it's the same thing every time. It's him going, "Hey, I need a call. I need the phone. I need to talk to my girl. It's her birthday." And the guy's like, "Nope," and then closes his the cell door thing. And like, I'm just like, yeah, okay. I'm sure that is what it's like. Yep. Okay.
This is totally fine. My favorite thing he says is, "Yo, Badge, I got to use the phone." And I wish somebody had called me Badge at some point.
That's good. Life. That's really good. I'm going to start only referring to cops as Badge. What's up, Badge?
What's up, Badge?
I think, Badge or Boot is a funny thing to call a cop. Like, yo, how we doing, Boot?
How we doing, Boot? I think that's cool. Yeah. And the Badge says, "Oh, sure, you want a pizza and a pedicure too?" But nobody ever accused Badges of being clever people.
No.
Also, the next scene, we see another Badge, Bellick. He's going looking for this name he found in Michael's cell, trying to figure out if this is another inmate. As far as actors playing corrections officers, this guy is so perfectly cast. He looks like a composite drawing of every corrections officer I've ever seen or met in my life. Yeah,
not quite the flat top haircut you expect, but close.
He also wears a dumb hat that I've never seen anybody wear in a prison. It's like the traditional cop hat, but as a corrections officer.
Does anyone do any corrections officers wear hats anymore? I feel like that's just like unneeded, unnecessary. You're indoors all day.
A lot do, but most of, like, you see a lot of bald dudes or dudes with like close cropped haircuts.
Oh.
You got to keep the head warm. There's a lot of baseball hats.
Okay, interesting. I can see that, I guess.
In our next scene, we see people preparing for war, and we know that they are preparing for war because there's a song, "This is War."
Yeah.
And inmates handing back shivs. An inmate comes up to Michael and he says, "Do you hear the trumpets, Fish? That's Judgment Day. It's coming real soon." This episode is so much better than the pilot.
Yeah, agreed. I was much more entertained.
So Michael goes into Teabag's cell. He's searching for the screw. Teabag asks him what he's doing. And Michael says, I want in. And Teabag says to him, you know the old saying, don't you? In for an inch, in for a mile. Is that a double entendre?
It would have been funnier if he was like, you know the old saying, right? In for an inch, in for 8 inches.
No, I don't think that would be funny. I think it's he's trying to prepare Michael for fight and non-consensual sex is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, which is why well, I mean, it could be consensual. Who knows? Who knows? We don't know Michael's sexuality.
You know what? That's true. We don't yet.
He could be highly attracted to Teabag.
I mean, we're all highly attracted to Teabag, but in
Right.
like I can't stop watching this guy away.
Sure, right.
So Teabag tells Michael, we're going to make a play tonight. And they're going at the black inmates before the black inmates strike them to get the advantage.
He says, we're making a play tonight. Oklahoma!
and C-Note, he watches from a distance and he looks very discontent. He's like, kind of doing the scratching the chin. And anyway, Veronica watches the parking garage video. Lincoln obviously shoots someone in a car. It's obviously Lincoln. We see a real flashback when Lincoln talks to her about it later, where it turns out he was going to rob this guy in a car, but the guy was already dead.
Uh-oh.
So back on the yard, some less interesting stuff. Bellick confronts Michael. Who's Alan Schweitzer? And Michael's like, I don't know who that is. But I was thinking about it. This show came out in what, like 2004, 2005?
Mm-hmm.
Bellick could just look this up. He could just Google this name or whatever was big at the time, yahoo.com.
Yeah, I mean, or ask Jeeves.
Who is
Jeeves, who is Alan Schweitzer? But yeah, he could have, but like, if it's not a person who's immediately in the prison, like, I don't know if it really matters. And also, there's a million Alan Schweitzers, like, I'm sure.
That's true, but it had a number next to it too.
True.
I figure the number could be helpful.
But as we see later, it's not actually a person at all. So
that is correct.
Yeah, it's impossible to find anyway.
So C-Note says, hey, Michael, I got the drugs. What's up, Snowflake? And is about to give him these drugs. And then the other inmates hold him back. And C-Note tells him, you chose the wrong side. Michael's like, hey, let me go. They have something I need, which is obviously the screw. And then that scene happens where Lincoln and Veronica meet. The important thing here is he went to the guy that he supposedly murdered, that he actually didn't murder. He went to that guy to rob him since he owed Crab Simmons $90,000. I love the name Crab Simmons. I think my first child will also be named Crab Simmons.
Crab Simmons, Strah, baby.
Now, we see turmoil on the yard where black and white inmates are harassing one another. I have never seen anything like this myself. I'm sure that there are some...
Did you have a yard in the jail?
We had indoor yards where it was like the size of a basketball court, and I think there might have even been a basketball hoop, and there was some opening on the outside to the sky, like a vent, like a grate, so they could get some fresh air.
It doesn't sound very great.
Back to our boy Sucre. He's in his cell playing with chalk, writing "I love Mary Cruz" on the ground because he's such a sad sack. I want him to get better. He offers an officer $1 million to use his phone. Again, the officer's like, "You don't have $1 million. No, leave me alone." And then it cuts over to Mary Cruz. She gets to the club and she's already ready to go home, even though she has a limo. This guy Hector is trying to talk her into staying. Why do we care? Why do we care at all about this?
We don't.
That's correct. No, we don't. So Agent Paul Kellerman from the first episode, noted murderer of a priest. He shows up at the courthouse, asks the guy who got the videotape why he made a FOIA request, and he asks Veronica's name. You don't have to give the names of people for FOIA requests, right? Like it's like open information.
It is, yeah.
Veronica shows up to Crab Simmons' mom's house, and she said, "Crab can't help nobody, lady. He's dead. But how did he die? He ate imitation crab." Simmons. Now, an inmate says to Michael, "It's about to jump off, fish." And we see everybody lined up in front of the cells. Tell me what happens next.
We get ourselves a little race riot. And Michael gets dumped over the railing, and then he's on the floor now, and he sees Teabag's cellmate and also lover, and gets his bolt back from him. And then the black inmates see this, and one of them steps in between Michael and Teabag's lover and stabs him. Just stabs the crap out of him.
Yeah, this poor kid never even gets a name. We have no idea his name.
He's pocket guy. Yeah, Teabag's pocket. The guy dies in Michael's arms and covers him with blood, and Teabag resultantly believes that Michael killed him, and like declares him a dead man.
Yes, and at this time, COs are finally getting it under control, launching some OC canisters onto the unit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a testament to how poorly this prison is run, because there's COs standing on the sidelines while this whole thing is going on. Like, they're not doing anything.
They're going, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, it's not great.
They looked entirely non-reactive while this is happening.
I mean, they were paid to be extras, not stuntmen, so...
it all has to do with like
it's SAG-AFTRA, yeah. It's literally
union agreements.
Guys, like, sorry, you got to pay me double if you want me to fight back here. Like,
so they launch OC canisters onto the unit. I've been sprayed with OC in order to carry OC, and it hurts. It's like the worst 30 minutes physically
is that
life.
Is that like tear gas or
no? The way he was coughing when he got to his cell, I like nobody was like crying. So I assumed it might not be tear gas.
Tear gas makes you cough.
Pepper spray.
Like, okay, I've been hit with both, and they both are miserable. But pepper spray is much, much worse.
So I know that they have used tear gas in some prisons, but my familiarity is mostly with like pepper spray being used in different formats. Like we had a gigantic canister of pepper spray that had a nozzle that they could slide into a cell like underneath the door, or we had cans that we carried on it individually. I assume this might have been cans of pepper spray that they're launching, which
both of which, by the way,
crowd control
are against the Geneva Convention to use on people, really. So, or at least in warfare. But it's weird that we use them in prisons.
It is, because we treat people in prisons like they're exempt from all these other rules that we would apply to people like on the battlefield.
Yeah, very true. So next, the warden comes in. Good old Stacy Keach.
Warden Keach.
And he tells everyone that there's going to be a 48-hour lockdown where they don't get like showers or anything, and they must stay in their cells.
No mess hall.
Nothing.
And he says, after this, it's going to be a week. If it happens again, then a month. You better behave.
But this is great for Michael because he could use all this time to sharpen his bolt on his cell floor.
Yeah, it'll be nice for him. Nice getaway.
Yeah.
At this time, we also see Teabag in the morgue fingering his pocket. Why would the officers let him into the morgue?
Yeah.
He's looking at his dead boyfriend or sex slave, or unclear what this relationship is. Why would they let him into the morgue?
Yeah.
That made no sense to me.
Yep. That's weird.
Yeah, indeed it very much was. Now, we also see Veronica go talk to Crab Simmons' mom at a park in Chicago. And
it's Crab Simmons' girlfriend, I believe.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, he already talked to her mom. She already talked to her mom earlier. Yeah.
She claims that he was killed because he knew too much, and Kellerman is watching the whole time. And we see Kellerman has a very special lapel pin. What does it mean? I don't know. I don't really care. And he calls a house in Blackfoot, Montana, talks to a woman, talks to her about Veronica. And she basically says, Veronica's expendable, make her go away.
Yeah.
We cut back to the prison. Michael scratching through the floor with a screw. Teabag is asking, "Oh, are you there, pretty? I'm going to kill you. You're trapped like a pig going to slaughter." He's just like saying annoying shit just to, I don't know, pass the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we see that he's worn down the screw, and then he touches the screw to the bolt. He touches this bolt to his tattoo to make sure it fits.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out it flashes over to him looking at some blueprints. What do the blueprints say?
Allen is, in fact, the screw. And Schweitzer.
What?
Schweitzer is the brand of the toilets.
Yes. I how did you feel about this reveal?
That. No. It was all right, actually. I was like, okay, that was kind of clever. Like Allen screw, Schweitzer toilet. Okay, yeah. Allen Schweitzer. Okay, yeah. Fine, sure. Although I don't know why he needed to write down Allen Schweitzer on a notepad. Why did he need to do that?
Because plot. Otherwise, this
no.
Bellick,
Wait a second. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah. Why? Why did he need to write that on a notepad in the first place? Like, he knows what an Allen screw is. He knows what a toilet is. He knows the brand. The brand is inconsequential. Why does he need to write that down? He could, like, I mean,
machinations of plot. Otherwise, they can't call the episode Allen. Otherwise, is the problem.
Right. Okay.
Bellick is never. We don't have 3 minutes of Bellick going to try and figure out who this Allen guy is.
Mm-hmm. Or like, yeah, he didn't have a code or anything, so Bellick's going around, who is Screw Toilet? I gotta figure this out.
That's a pretty good Bellick impression. So yeah, it's like a dumb twist, but it's like kind of a fun twist, and it's clever in its own way. It's like this level of Prison Break clever that I think we're going to see more throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's the twist. Michael gets his pills from C-Note just as he's called to the infirmary. He gets his diabetic testing from Dr. Tancredi.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like expecting him to be misdiagnosed as diabetic. And he's like nervous and he's sweaty. And
there's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti.
Yeah. I don't know how to continue with that rap. I forget the rest of it. That's the only part that matters.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's like, bad news, you're diabetic. He's leaving. And this nurse goes, cute. And the doctor says prisoner, and she's right about this.
Yeah.
Don't sexualize inmates. That's just a bad practice for working with people.
That's how you get into trouble, real big trouble.
Yeah, total trouble. And Dr. Tancredi senses something fishy with Michael, doesn't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of our episode, Michael is moved to this area by Bellick to see John Abruzzi.
Mm-hmm.
John Abruzzi says, this little polka you and I have been doing for a while. As of this moment, it's over. He wants to know where Fibonacci is. His guys tie up Michael with a hose and hold gardening shears to his little toe. And we leave the episode with Michael saying, I'm not going to tell you where Fibonacci is. And Abruzzi's threatening to cut off his little toe. And we hear a snap and play theme.
Yeah. Presumably he got his toes cut off because if he reveals where Fibonacci is, he's dead.
Yes, he should have given them the Fibonacci sequence and been ignorant like I am to this whole Fibonacci thing.
Yeah, that was the episode. What do you think?
Honestly, it was a lot better than the first one. It had less of his stupid tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
There was no real focus on tattoo until the very end when we got our main twist with Allen Schweitzer.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed prison life in a much more realistic way in terms of the daily running of a prison and the machinations of prison politics.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. I feel like there were a few too many stories going on. We could have done entirely without the Sucre story.
Entirely.
entirely. Like that was completely inconsequential to the plot, completely inconsequential to me. Yeah. Other than that, pretty good episode, pretty solid episode of TV. I was interested in pretty much all that was going on. Also, writing down Alan Schweitzer on a notepad makes no sense whatsoever. I didn't think about it while I was watching the episode, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, but why? Why did he need to write that down? Like, it's first off, it's tattooed on his arm. Alan Schweitzer is tattooed on his arm.
Wait, does it say Alan Schweitzer on his arm?
It does backwards. Like early in the episode, like he's looking at the tattoo with a mirror, and he writes down Alan Schweitzer and then like the number or whatever.
Why would he get it done backwards?
I don't know, man. I don't know, because so they don't like see him like, who's Alan Schweitzer, and like, although I don't know, most people would
you
be
can
like,
say my friend who died, and
Yeah.
they go, okay, nobody's going to look this up. This
Right.
is not anything.
And even if they do,
take a
they can't
picture and
find
they log it
anything.
in with your mugshot.
even if they do, they can't find anything because it refers to a screw in a toilet, which are two things you don't need to write down.
Screw toilet. Yeah. As far as entertaining, it is definitely that. It is good, bad television.
Yeah, I'd give it a solid, I don't know, 6.5 out of 10. I was entertained. Didn't hate it.
I agree.
Yeah, better than average bad television.
Yes. So stay tuned. We will be continuing on more with our Prison Break series in the future. It's a fun way to look at prisons, see what they're doing right, see what they're doing wrong, and keep up with our old friends. But hopefully they don't introduce too many more plot lines. I'm much more focused on the show when it's in prison. I don't care as much when it goes out to look at like Veronica and this murder plot and what's going on with Kellerman. Don't care. That's fine.
Right.
And Sucre, resolve whatever's going on with your girlfriend, man.
Yeah, just break up. Just break up.
Yeah, she and Hector would be a lovely couple, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. That's probably what it's moving towards. Is Hector swooping in.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, Hector is totally cool. Anyway, thank you, Hector. Let's move on to our next section, the pod's favorite section.
Movie Minute.
Movie minute. Movie minute. 60 seconds with producer Brit to talk about movies.
Hey, let's put 60 seconds on the clock. So, last time Judge Bronson sentenced me to watch 2011's We Need to Talk About Kevin. So, 2011's We Need to Talk About Kevin by writer-director Lynn Ramsey, based on the novel of the same name by Lionel Shriver, is the story of a woman looking into the past of raising her son Kevin. The titular character of the film, who we learn is a high school mass shooter. The film is largely a family drama with the mother, Eva, and the father, Franklin, trying to raise a boy that shows no love or affection towards his mother. The couple have another child, and Kevin seemingly antagonizes and intentionally maims her, causing strain on the parents' marriage. When Kevin's sick, he shows affection towards his mother for the first time when she's reading to him about Robin Hood, and she resultantly buys him a bow and arrows.
Foreshadowing.
Yes, Chekhov's bow and arrows, as it were. Kevin does a school massacre in a truly, truly horrifying series of shots. His mother visits him in the prison, and holy shit, this movie is the biggest fucking bummer I've ever experienced. I didn't watch it again because I've already seen it, and why on earth would this be a repeat viewing? This movie's horrifying. It's like watching Elephant again. Why would you do that? I'm like, once is fine. I'm good. Really. Thanks. I don't know. I give it probably 3.5 soups.
Yeah, it's not a repeat view.
No.
It's very good at what it conveys, but it makes I find it repellent.
Mm-hmm.
It's very well done. His crossbow attack on the school is hard to watch, and it is painful. But it feels like it's well realized, and you understand exactly what it is you're seeing in this world that they're inhabiting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it all feels very real.
it's messed up film, real messed up.
It is a messed up film. Yeah, I'm glad you feel about it like I do. But let me sentence you to a little film I saw last year that I know you're going to have thoughts about.
Mm-hmm.
It's a film by famed director Francis Ford Coppola
Okay.
called Megalopolis
Oh, okay.
that he was making for about 15 years
Yep.
and sold off parts of his winery to pay for this film. And it is something else. I can't wait to hear what you think. And we will have a discussion on our next pod.
Sounds good, bro.
All right. Before we call it a day, I want to say thank you to the listeners out there.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to say thank you to the Roger Williams School of Justice Studies.
And an extra big thank you to
And criminal justice and legal studies and public administration. And what was that one?
cybersecurity.
Thank you. Well, I was hoping you'd say leadership again, but cybersecurity is good too.
Well, leadership. Leadership.
That's so annoying. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for... No, we'll edit that out. Thanks for listening. All right, team. Thanks for listening. You know where to find us on Apple Music, on Spotify, all of your favorite podcast platforms. Please like, please rate, please subscribe, and we'll catch you next time here on the pod. If I'm going to go to bed, what time is it?
I think it's time for Lights Out.